You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Bạn đang lắng nghe bộ não của bạn trên không khí. Chương trình sẽ bắt đầu ngay. Thưởng thức.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your Thursday broadcast of Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And why would Chloe Fineman do this? Why would she pants a 6-year-old and then talk about it? Ladies and gentlemen, that's not up to us to judge. That is for Yahweh to judge. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not tuned into the latest with the SNL cast, I do not blame you. The show has not been culturally relevant for quite some time, but that's perfectly fine. The movie that came out a little while ago was actually all right. Who was it that directed it? It doesn't matter. Chloe Fineman, a talented impressionist and haver of a face. She's decent looking, you know. She told a story on Vanity Fair, and it, in the eyes of many, made her look very, creepy, just to say the least. I'm gonna play it in its totality, from this, thing called Evie Magazine. It's a small TikTok channel, and I believe it to be a drama creator. So I'm gonna let her give you the clip in its fullness.
You know what you said is messed up when your castmates look at you like this. This is the reaction
They just look
of
shocked.
Chloe Fineman's co-stars when she was telling her story of pantsing a 6-year-old child when she worked as a camp counselor.
No, I was fired as a camp counselor.
For hitting on the camera?
No, I pantsed a boy.
Oh, honey, I think you're on a list somewhere.
And he wasn't wearing underpants.
Oh!
And then a giant
Hey.
school bus drove by, and they were like, "You can't," because he would lift my shirt all the time.
What
and
is happening?
It was Berkeley.
How old was the child?
He was like 6. No, it was a different time. Like he would be like, "Hey, can I have a hug?" And I'd go to hug him, and he'd lift my shirt like a dick. And then I was like, "I'm gonna get back at
What?
you." And so we were on a hike, and I was like, "Hey, Ollie, go look over there. It's a hawk."
What?
And I yanked his pants down.
Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. What was the name of this child? Go wait. Back that shit up.
No, it was a different time. Like he would
Back
be
it
like,
up.
"Hey, can I have a hug?" And I'd go to hug him, and he'd lift my shirt like a dick. And then I was like, "I'm gonna get back at you." And so we were on a hike, and I was like, "Hey, Ollie, go look over there."
Motherfucker!
And then I yanked his pants down. He wasn't wearing underwear. His little ding-a-ling was out. And then these two twins were like,
This is insane. Hold on a minute. The fact that this child happens to share my exact name. Okay, listen. I can guarantee you it's not the same spelling. I can guarantee you it's Ollie or some shit. Okay, it's definitely not my spelling. My spelling's unique. Let's hear out the rest of her story.
And then I yanked his pants down. He wasn't wearing underwear. His little ding-a-ling was out. And then these two twins were like, "Oh, I didn't know you didn't wear underwear." And then I was...
And according to some of the
This is
reports,
horrific.
Chloe was about 16 when she did that. The backlash has
She
gotten
was-
so intense.
she was about
that
16.
Vanity Fair has to edit out that interview, which made it so much worse. But let me know what you guys think about all of this.
Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's creepy behavior for anyone, quite frankly. I'm going to be honest with you, though. They're pretty forgiving at Saturday Night Live. They've covered up a lot of sexual assault allegations. Jimmy Fallon even allegedly knew about one. This is just all alleged. I'm not saying it's true. You know, you just have to go into Lauren's office and go all... so-and-so wanted it, you know, it's not my fault, and then he will be like, all right, we'll work something out. And then that's just how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to be honest with you. They are willing to give you one more chance, as the Jackson 5 have put it. They are, it's New York, it's show business. They may goose you every now and then in a back room if you work if you are like a hand on, say, you move cameras around or something like that. There's a chance that you get pulled into a closet and something happens to you. And I'm not saying it's regardless of gender. It's regardless. There's creeps everywhere that are willing to pull you into a closet regardless of your age, gender, whatever. It is a dangerous world out there at this point, especially in show business. It only attracts creeps. That's just a fact about it, ladies and gentlemen. It only attracts the creeps out there. Why else do you think Hollywood needs to be quarantined off at this point because of the Oscars ceremony? It might as well be a sting operation for like a Chris Hansen. Like, he might as well host the 100th Oscars. I think that might be their move. That's exactly why ABC or whatever is disconnecting. They're going to be hosting the 99th Oscars, but then they're done after that. I think that's exactly why they want to get out of the business. I don't even blame them. Ladies and gentlemen, this world is, if you don't believe me about how distasteful and sex obsessed the world is, Minneapolis sex clubs, maybe are they on the way to Minneapolis? Sex clubs, bathhouse sex clubs. Could bathhouse sex clubs be coming to the city of Minneapolis, according to this new article coming out?
Could bathhouse sex clubs be coming to the city of Minneapolis? It's something the city council is considering. City leaders are defining these sex clubs or adult sex venues as any place where the main purpose of the establishment is to encourage patrons to engage in or watch other patrons engaging in sexual activities on the premises. Common terminology also includes sexual encounter establishments, swingers clubs, and sex clubs. City leaders are pointing to a lot of other cities that are already doing this: Miami, Chicago, even Duluth, Minnesota, where you have clubs like this operating. Sex club venues like this have already existed in Minneapolis, but they were outlawed in the 1980s in response to the AIDS epidemic. At a council meeting on April 8th, council members are going to vote on whether or not to look. At a meeting on April 8th, council members are going to vote whether to move forward with this. They would still have to look at what kind of zoning rules would have to change, what kind of health codes would have to change. They'd still have to write the actual ordinance, and then there'd still be a lot more discussion and debate before this is actually passed. But it could be happening. What do you think?
I think, you know what, I believe in true freedom in this country. I believe that maybe not in the same neighborhood as family homes or anything like that. Maybe we have zoning laws as to, maybe you have a downtown area for this. Maybe downtown for the Bathclub, sex house, whatever. I'm just saying, is that a good idea? Is that maybe some middle ground that we can reach, much like the Israel-Iran USA conflict? We can reach a medium ground out on these sex clubs all around the world that are slowly going to be showing up. It'll be in even small towns. It'll be in Ulen, Minnesota. You're gonna find right next to the Dollar Tree. It'll be one sex club after another. It'll be an interesting time to be alive. It's not my fault. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not happy with what the news is, I don't know what else to say except for it. That's just the way it is. As Walter Cronkite used to say, less than a day, let's just put it this way, after President Trump announced the ceasefire, Iran has already closed the strait over Israel's ongoing attacks in Lebanon. I'm going to say it. They didn't ask for Lebanon to stop getting struck, okay? It's not there. Listen, whatever. If they wanted that part in the treaty, they should have negotiated it in the first place. So I'm going to say it's the Iranians' fault on this one. The White House is demanding that it should be reopened. Trump is insisting Lebanon was not included in the deal, and I actually agree with him on this one. Let's go ahead. Bam. The ink on the framework for peace is barely dry. The regional situation is already spiraling back into chaos. Less than 24 hours, folks. This is less than one sleep cycle. Unless you're medieval, you might have gotten in like one sleep period. I don't know. After the president has touted the ceasefire between Washington and Tehran, Iran has already defied the administration by closing the Strait of Hormuz once again. I'm sorry to say it. If you ordered any Persian rugs, if you ordered any, things from the United Arab Emirates, I'm just going to say it. The Dubai chocolate is going to take a minute to travel through there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to say it. It's going to be affecting you in way, not just the gas pump. I know that's all that everybody wants to talk about. Oh, I'm paying so much more for gas. Shut up. We're paying more for Dubai chocolate, and that's what's hurting the influencer generation. Tehran is citing Israel's relentless bombardment of Lebanon as the primary reason for the shutdown, effectively accusing the U.S. of failing to restrain its primary ally in the region, which we are in many ways. However, it's not our responsibility, okay? If they want to battle out for greater Israel, and if they, as Mike Huckabee put it, as the wise Mike Huckabee put it, the Aristotle type figure that he is, he put it, it would be fine if they took it all right? So greater Israel is happening maybe within the next 30 years. That's my prediction. Anyways, They are going ahead. The move is sent shockwaves through the energy markets, effectively cutting off the global flow of oil, about 20% from that region, to erase any progress made during Tuesday's diplomatic marathon. There was not very much never believe them when they say they've made very much progress until they actually stop the bombings. That is when we can, when we know there's a treaty, when we know that enough leaders have been killed. That and I'm not saying that this is how I want it to go. I'm saying this is historically how most conflicts work out, that people kill each other until one side works out which one is ultimately the ruler of this conflict, and then they give up because they realize they cannot afford to lose any more people. This is how it worked out in World War II. This is how it worked out in Vietnam, even in smaller conflicts. You look at this, and the United States said, fuck it, this is not even worth it. We're willing to take the loss here, even just because we might lose a lot more than just a few men here and there. We're willing to lose a lot more of American lives and whatnot, but we're not willing to lose the dollar. We're not willing to lose our standing diplomatically among a lot of other nations. But whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, the White House is now engaged in an aggressive game of damage control. As you can imagine, their PR team is scrambling. I'm not saying that I have any phones in the White House, but I can tell you for sure that Trump is he's already taking to social media. You don't even have to be an insider. He's doubling down on his stance. He's insisting the original ceasefire deal was strictly bilateral, and there was a no-strike agreement between the U.S. and Iran, and it never included the mandate for Israel to stop its operations in Lebanon. The administration is demanding that Iran immediately reopen the waterway, and they're warning that the ceasefire privileges they were granted yesterday will be revoked if the tankers remain blocked. I mean, yeah, sure, that's good deal. A good deal. How do you plan on actually doing anything about it? You said that if they continue to do any more bullshit, you were going to level their entire country. It would be a power plant day, whatever. You had all these bombastic things to say on the most Christian. We had to deal with that on Easter. He was like, "Open the strait, you fucking crazy bastards. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you." But I'm never gonna stand up for anything. I was gonna say I would actually have respected him more if he went through on anything, because guess what? They're still killing people. They're still out there, and they're probably gonna kill way more American citizens, folks. Let's take a little bit of a look at the ABC World News Tonight's view with David Muir. I still haven't figured out how to figure out his name. I'm sorry. I'm awful with names. That's always been my thing.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with the breaking news, the U.S. and Iran, and tonight the White House acknowledging this is a fragile ceasefire, and it's already being tested tonight. Just hours after President Trump announced the 2-week ceasefire, Iran then saying it had closed the Strait of Hormuz. The White House had demanded Iran open the critical passageway. Iran closing the strait, blocking oil tankers from going through as Israel unleashed a sprawling attack on Lebanon. President Trump saying Lebanon is not included in this ceasefire deal.
And here we thought things were going so well.
Calling it, quote, a separate skirmish. Tonight, a gallon of gas in the U.S. now at $4.16 a gallon, up $1.22 since this war began, and the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. So what next? Mary Bruce leads us off from the White House.
The White House says the, quote, fragile ceasefire with Iran is holding, but tonight President Trump's key condition remains unmet, Iran refusing to reopen traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Still, Vice President J.D. Vance, who is now leading negotiations, insists, quote, fundamentally, we're in a good...
I am so happy that they have this beaver, this otter-type man. He has a very... He has a more oval-shaped face every single time I see him, and his haircut is dastardly. His haircut is getting closer to the sides of the head every time I see him. He has a very, I don't know how to even describe this. I'm not even going to try. He needs to be queer-eyed.
Spot.
No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness.
Iran says it will not reopen the strait because they say the U.S. has gone back on what they claim was a key element of the truce, that Israel would stop bombarding Iranian-backed Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Today, Israel unleashing a sprawling barrage of more than 100 attacks on the Lebanese capital Beirut, the most since the war began, killing at least 180 people, more than 1.2 million people displaced in the conflict. Iran's foreign minister declaring the world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the U.S. court, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments.
Listen, Lebanon, not our conflict. Still not our conflict. Am I saying that I'm really, really happy that they are they're making the hike up to the river? No. I'm never happy about the territorial expansion. It's not my favorite. I'm not gonna say that this is something I support. Never will. You'll never catch me saying that. However, I am going to say, what does this have to do with us? If Greater Israel, if Israel wants to piss off every country in the region to the point where eventually they are going to be maybe decimated one day in the middle of the night, am I going to say it will be a deeply unfortunate loss if Tel Aviv were to disappear? Absolutely. Am I saying that's something that anybody wants out of this conflict? No. Am I saying that it's unlikely? Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely that that happens. But whatever. People are making theories that Bibi Netanyahu's already dead. I doubt it severely. I think they're making the people think that he might be dead. But I think I've seen people that look like they're wearing masks. It's whatever. We're not going to get into the schizo theories.
But Vance today saying Lebanon was never part of the ceasefire deal.
I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case.
One thing is clear. Iran still controls the strait. Before the war, ships could pass through free of charge. But President Trump now telling our John Carl the U.S. and Iran could work together one day to collect tolls, saying we're thinking of doing it as a joint venture. Any arrangement like that seems a long way off, and tonight the strait remains closed. The national average price for a gallon of gas now at $4.16, up $1.22 since the war began.
Well, that's not
Economists say it could take months to fall once the strait reopens. Today, the administration also pressed to explain the president's plan for halting Iran's nuclear program and moving their more than 900 pounds of enriched uranium out of the country.
They will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, like we did in Midnight Hammer or something like that,
we'll take it.
Reserve that opportunity.
And David, those negotiations are supposed to begin in earnest this weekend in Pakistan, but the two sides are not on the same page on a host of issues. And tonight, Iran says the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. And that was President Trump's top demand when he agreed to this ceasefire, David.
Mary Bruce leading us off here tonight.
Mary leading us off tonight. Thank you very much, Mary. We appreciate it. Folks, what do you think about this conflict? I'm worried it's gonna continue on, maybe until the next election. I really don't. I'm seriously thinking that we're cooking up a regional conflict that's going to last a lot longer than we hope or think. I'm saying that it's going to last until, and I'm not saying the next election as in midterms. I'm saying this might be a 2028 issue. I'm saying this might be a thing that gets the Republicans the loss in 2028. And unfortunately, we might not even realize it yet, gets us, unfortunately, President Newsom. And I'm not saying that that's my prediction right now. I'm just saying that it might be the case. Well, I don't know what to say. We're going to move on to our next story because, quite frankly, this is very upsetting. This is depressing, and nobody needs to hear about this, especially on a Thursday. It's almost Friday. We can deal with a little bit more depressing stuff on Friday. But speaking of depression, see what I did there? We're going to deal with a new study that found that psilocybin, as I think this news reporter pronounces it. We're going to cover that. Magic mushrooms may be effective new therapy for depression. Now, if you have familiarity in the drug scene whatsoever, if you did some YouTube searching before you did any experimenting, as any smart person would, you know that it has been used in the treatment of veterans who have PTSD. It has been used in many cases medicinally by certain people for a long time. Can't remember the exact actor who went on one trip. They went and did ayahuasca. It cured them of their alcoholism. Anyways, the people have known that these sorts of psilocybin-y, hallucinogenic, more leaning ones, where weed as more so, it's more of a depressant, it chills you out, it kind of can get you to different mental states and whatnot, but psilocybin can really just, it'll take you somewhere else, but it'll also more so just show you who you are. It'll take you in more so than it'll put you out in the universe. Anyways, what I'm trying to put out there and what I'm trying to say is that everybody has known for a while, apparently, that these are a thing. You know what I mean? And I did some research before I went ahead and I looked into this hallucinogenic world. I was like, okay, this is curious. Apparently, there have been notable signs where this has helped people with addiction, other sorts of depression and whatnot. But apparently, science is now catching up to what people have known medicinally for the longest time. A growing body of research is shedding new light on quote, a potential new use for magic mushrooms, specifically their active compound psilocybin. We're going to get into our next story. This one, go. In a therapeutic setting, psilocybin is being studied not as a standalone pill, not as a sort of whatever, but as a catalyst for an assisted psychotherapy. They're doing this not for the sake of like, we are going to get you high, we're going to sell you this in a pill bottle. They are going to do, unlike like sort of a traditional antidepressant, they're aiming to manage your symptoms over the long term. Psilocybin therapy typically involves a single or very limited number of doses administered in a controlled clinical environment, accompanied by an intensive preparation and follow-up support from trained therapists. This, listen, I think this could be a great angle. I've seen psilocybin help many people in my lives, just because they become well-rounded, more interesting people and whatnot after a trip. I'm not saying it's for everybody. There are some people that come back from it changed, and there are some people that do too much, and it's maybe, it's just a bad situation. It's not for everybody, and I don't encourage that people, especially if you're underage, I do not encourage anybody underage to be taking any substances of any sort. But anyways, despite the fact that I will tell multiple stories of myself doing this. Do as I say, not as I did. This is, every adult will tell you this, and whatever. Medical experts are increasingly optimistic about this approach. They're saying it might do something along the lines of resetting the tracts of the brain. Their research is suggesting that psilocybin may dampen hyperactive brain circuits that are often linked to negative thinking loops or deep sadness. The sort of, as many people know about clinical depression, the ruts, the sort of the things where you just get caught in these loops of continuous, oh, why am I thinking about this? I know it's actively bad for me to think about this, but I'm going to continue to regardless. And it's said to improve connectivity between different regions of the brain. For many patients who have struggled with treatment-resistant depression and have found no relief through conventional medications, this therapy is offering a glimpse of long-term improvement, with some studies indicating positive results that can last for months or even up to a year after the treatment. Let's get a little bit more clinical from ABC News Live.
A new study shows psilocybin, the magic...
Psilocybin, how am I not getting paid? I don't get paid for the news. I still manage to get this drug pronunciation right. Granted, I mispronounce things all the time. I'm not getting paid like he is.
A new study shows psilocybin, the magic mushrooms, hold promise as a potential therapy for depression. The study examined how the natural occurring chemical found in certain mushrooms can temporarily change how the brain processes thoughts, emotions, and sensory experiences. ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton is here for more on today's checkup. I can't even pronounce it. I don't know what's in it.
Can sometimes be hard.
Tell us about magic mushrooms and why they're on the rise.
Well, magic mushrooms, as you know, have been decades long, a part of cultural, social conversations, and now they're moving more and more into clinical settings. And that active ingredient that's hard to pronounce, psilocybin, is what scientists are studying. And the reason why
psilocybin
is because it has direct effects on serotonin receptors in our brain. That is key for mood regulation and the reasons why it's studied for outcomes of things like depression. But beyond that, it's also being studied for things like alcohol use disorder, helping people to quit smoking, and even conditions like OCD and post-traumatic stress disorder.
But this is still technically, a drug, right? An illicit drug. So what are the risks here?
Yeah, so these studies are done in highly controlled settings, and this study that has revealed some more evidence about it is not a singular study, it's a meta-analysis. So it looks at least 15 different studies, over 800 participants, and they found
Andrew, that those who responded to that were significant, 2 to 3 times more likely to respond to this treatment compared to the control. The reason why that's a strong signal is because when we look at studies with comparable medications like SSRIs, that's key to treating depression.
They make people shoot up schools.
50% response rate. So 2 to 3 times higher is highly motivating for a scientist to continue to studying it. But important to note here, these are done with talk therapy. These studies are done in highly supervised settings, and we don't yet know the long-term effects of these drugs.
So with that, where's this popularity coming from, this surge in recent years?
Yeah, I think a lot of the popularity comes from the use of these medications and this treatment, these magic mushrooms, I should say, as microdosing. That's, in essence, when you take a small amount every day. But there's no standardized way to do this because these are not FDA-approved medications and treatments. And in these studies, the amounts that they used to study it were 10 to 30 times higher than the dose that would be considered a microdose. So there's still a lot to be understood here. And of course, I have to recount this, and it's important to understand. These are done in controlled environmental settings where you know everything about the patient. They're carefully selected. And you're also, again, making sure that you're studying that patient because there are risks. It can mess with your blood pressure. It can exacerbate anxiety and depression. And it can even reveal...
Yes, this is not something that's without its risks. There are chances that you may take too much. There are gummies that people have been known to mess with. Every head shop, for some reason in the local area, has been getting these gummy mushroom things. And I'm not to say that I'm not trying them. I am absolutely trying them because you have to. When you see something on there that claims to be Amanita muscaria, but then you read the packaging and it says that there is none in it, you got to find out what it feels like. It could be anything. I don't know if they're putting DMT in it. It could be anything, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the fun. Could be ketamine as far as we know. I don't know. But everybody has been seeing that these gummies have been showing up at your local head shop, and chocolates, things like that, different little sorts of treats. Maybe there's teas, other varieties and whatnot. Do not go too deep. My major warning that I give to everybody is never go too deep. Never go too deep. I understand that it might be a very fun idea that it's like, let's eat a handful at a time or whatever. I like to remember the principle of, like, you should always take as much as you feel you could handle. And if you take a dose and you wait an hour and you're like, all right, yeah, maybe I'm ready to kick it up, or maybe you don't have an hour, you wait maybe a half an hour, then you can, like, half the dose that you would normally try to up it. I'm trying to say you can always take more, you can never take less. That's a good rule to always go by when it comes to drugs. You can always take more, you can never take less.
Underlying conditions like those who suffer from bipolar spectrum disorder that might not know because they don't have access. So really exciting here, but we must remain cautious.
And to some states that are considering in some form or another legislation to sort of legalize, the psilocybin.
Yeah, the psilocybin, yeah.
Psilocybin. They include, Colorado, Oregon, where it's been on ballots before. These are states that were also first in the legalization of marijuana. So does this compare in any way?
I would say that these are in different buckets, but the same thought
Definitely.
process. There's a lot of regulation here. There's no FDA-approved psilocybin treatment. And as you said, there's state regulations that are allowing these in certain conditions for treatment-resistant depression. But again, you've got to be so cautious with this. As an emergency physician, patients can land in the ER by overusing this or using this inappropriately. So you want to make sure that if you have access to it in any way, shape, or form, you are doing it with the doctor. And again, it often comes with talk therapy, which is also crucial.
It's a deeply important thing to mention that you are less likely to die on mushrooms or anything like that. You are not likely to die of taking too many mushrooms. The rate at which you would need to consume so many, you would likely never come back mentally before you were ever to overdose and die on it. What I'm trying to say is the risk more so is to your mental state. So you cannot die. No, I don't believe that there is any recorded risks of people dying on hallucinogenic mushrooms that are not poisonous. That's key. That are not poisonous. Listen, what I'm trying to get across here is that it is a frontier that I encourage people who are of sound mind and body to play with now and then, as I think it's healthy and good for a mind to be tested and to figure out where its limits are, where its boundaries of consciousness are, of how it perceives this world, of how it remembers things from its past, how it perceives art, oh my goodness, when you start looking at, I have this book that my mom gave me of Greek myths, of like these tales and whatnot. You can read about Persephone, you can read about Medusa, you can read about all of these, just reading through all of these things, rereading paragraphs of things you might not have read since you were a child, or just thinking of ideas you haven't thought of since you were a kid. When you are on these hallucinogenic things, it unlocks new ways of perceiving, looking at these scenarios. It's like, oh my God, Aphrodite's, it was kind of a cunt. So like, admittedly, she was interesting as a character, but like possessive. She was very jealous and whatnot. Greek mythology never in general makes women look very great. Granted, they don't make men look very great either. Zeus, we're done. We're not going to go into all of it. We're going to be here for a long time if we were getting into mythology again. But it is important to remember that these boundaries that we play with in our minds, they're boundaries for a reason. Our mind put them up for a reason to protect us. And maybe, I always like to look at it this way. There are certain things that are worth looking at your past. There are certain things that are worth unpacking. But I do take a boomer approach to certain things, where I go, certain things just are what they were. And it's best more so not to mill over it. It's best so not to pore over it all the time. To go, blah, 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 this happened, I feel so bad, this and whatever. Like, the past is what it is. You cannot, at a certain point, you need to make peace with what is. What is going to be. You know what I mean? What will be. Que sera, sera, ladies and gentlemen. That's just what it is. I don't know. Maybe this is just sort of I'm speaking to the choir, speaking to an audience that's not interested in hearing. I don't know who I'm speaking to here, ladies and gentlemen, but it's the researchers, they're trying to emphasize it's not a magic cure to be attempted at home. Clinical trials are strictly mandated to professional supervision and to ensure its safety. And the substance can induce intense emotional experiences that require an expert guidance to navigate. That is very, very true. I've seen people that take these things and they don't have somebody that they can be themselves around, kind of trust and love and whatever, and they freak themselves out. And admittedly, you always have to remember, if you ever are listening to this, if you're listening to this now and you're high on something, it's going to end at some point. There are you need to take heroic doses. I'm talking to the millionth property and whatnot to ever induce something that would take an extended years-long period to go away or whatever you're high on or now or will be high on, it will go away eventually. That's always a good thing to remind yourself of. This is not going to last forever. Sure, time may feel longer, sure, whatever is the situation that it is. This will all eventually slow back down to the pace that you know, or it'll speed up. Maybe you're like an hour feels like 24 hours right now, or maybe a minute feels like an hour. You know what I mean? It'll eventually, time will go back to the way that time used to feel. Things will go back to the way that they were. That's how life, I love to always say that you can count on change. That's always going to happen around you. But things kind of will always be what they are. That's what I always love to remember about people. People will always kind of be exactly who they are. There's not much we can do about it. Personality is just, it just is. Personality just is, and you have to allow their personalities to kind of foster around them and whatnot. There's not much, you can influence. You can do whatever you want with people, but they really are who they are. And I know that that's a tough thing for many parents to hear. That's a tough thing for many people in like tough relationships to hear or whatever. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's spiritual, but if it is spiritual to you, but in a way it's just nature. It's how this thing, this ethereal presence, whatever you believe your soul, your consciousness to be, that is just who it is. That is who, and it's inherent. The personality, the being, the way that it interacts with the world is inherent. Sure, it can learn new skills. It can learn how to, dull itself. It can learn how to maybe interact more calmly, or how to behave in a more respectable way for different cultures or different social scenarios. But personality is just what it will be. I don't know where I'm going with this, but ultimately it's just an important thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen. The change does seem scary, but just remember what holds everything together is personality, and that personality is you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with this transcendent secondary story. We're going to move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Excuse me. I got something, you know, when you're just like, you've been talking for so long, you just gotta, you gotta clear your throat. God, we are going to move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of things that you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy that we cannot dedicate like 2, 3, 4 paragraphs to, every single thing to, but we're going to talk about the things that matter here. Scientists are finding ALS in NFL players. If you're not aware, ALS, it is an unfortunate disorder that is, it ravages the central nervous system. It is it's a deeply unfortunate condition. Stephen Hawking suffered from it. It eventually leads to a slow loss of muscle movements. It's a horrific neurodegenerative disorder, and scientists are finding that ALS is more likely to show up in NFL players. Quote, researchers are finding NFL players are nearly 4 times more likely to die of ALS than the general population. We sat down with Dr. Dan Schvar, interesting, chair of the physical medicine and rehabilitation at Mass General Brigham, God, I'm trying, guys. Brigham and Harvard Medical School to understand why. He explains that while the exact cause isn't fully understood, maybe it's the hits to the head. Repetitive head impacts, there you go, like those who suffered from playing after years and years of tackle and football, are known to produce brain changes associated with both CTE and ALS. Yeah, this is just, guys, watch out. Don't bang your body up too damn much. You abuse it, you lose it, and it's a horrific thing. I'm trying to eat better as a result of it. I'm trying to do better, trying to work out. God only gave you one body, or whatever you believe in. Maybe you're an agnostic, or maybe you're an atheist, or whatever, and you're going, well, maybe science gave me my body. Okay, if Neil deGrasse Tyson gave you your body, then use your body that he gave you for the sake of enjoying your body. And you know what? Taking care of it, cherishing it. That is honestly the most pro-you thing you can do.
So we don't have a good understanding of why NFL players are getting ALS more than others.
Maybe it's the
What
hits.
we are seeing is that people who get repeated traumatic brain injuries, they get not only the tau of CTE, a certain thing that kills the brain cells, but they also often get another problem in their brain cells called TDP43. And when that protein, when that damage occurs in specific cells, in a specific pattern, an unlucky minority of individuals, they can develop Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS.
Damn, that's terrible. That's awful. Guys, take care of yourselves. Try not to bang up your heads too much. I'm just going to say it. Don't let your kids play football. Don't let your kids play. Maybe you can let them play baseball. Let them do some activity to get themselves moving. But anything where they're going to be getting their heads banged up, you guys, it's too much, honestly, at this point. We know the risks of it. We understand it deeply, not only to your head, your spine, your back, everything. You can fuck up your tendons, everything. I've heard so many people in my family even that played in sports and whatnot, and they're like, I got my tendon fixed up. I got a surgery on this and whatnot. I got a surgery on that. And I'm like, I don't understand how you guys are breaking so much shit all the time. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, just something to be cautious over. Maybe it's just best to leave little Lenny or Liam. I covered both black and white with those names. Maybe it's best to leave your little lad at home, or let him join band rather than let him play the trumpet on the side of the football field. I promise you, he will maybe not make as many friends, maybe not develop as many social skills, but he will have fun in his own mind, ladies and gentlemen. Cocaine and caffeine are detected in sharks. This is a study showing that shark in the waters around the Bahamas have tested positive for both of these substances, cocaine, caffeine, and a stew of other pharmaceutical drugs. Listen, it's the Bahamas. They came here to party, did they not?
Sharks in the Bahamas have tested positive for cocaine, caffeine, and painkillers, according to a new study. Researchers found these contaminants in marine environments, in particular in areas with more tourists.
Tourists. I love that term. Tourists, ladies and gentlemen. Tourists. Whether that's good or bad, I cannot determine, but I'm saying that if you are looking for cheap drugs, go to Miami and not Miami, the Bahamas, and just swim in the water. Probably you could do this in Miami as well. Let's talk about Little Palestine, the little neighborhood. This is a Harlem Avenue to 83rd Street area, apparently known to everyone as Little Palestine in Chicago. Let's take a look at it.
Little Palestine street sign that was unveiled last night at 83rd and Harlem in Bridgeview. The area from 79th to 113th is one of the largest Palestinian American communities in the country.
Good for them.
Some of the best food around, in my opinion. Oh, I don't doubt it. Oh, good. Don't doubt it. Have a look at...
I love that. She goes, I don't doubt it. And then it sounded like she said doubt it, but she was like, I don't doubt it. Anyways, good for Little Palestine. Happy for them. A federal judge in New York on Thursday gutted much of Blake Lively's case against her. It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni. I haven't been covering this one too terrible much because it's largely been a heaping pile of goy slop. But I'm just going to say it. Free Baldoni. Throw this bitch in jail. I don't love people who are friends with Taylor Swift. Justin Baldoni, including her claims that she was subject to sexual harassment on set. And they're saying, hey, you were making a romantic movie with them. What do you expect?
And we've got some breaking news in a legal battle between actors Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. A judge has ruled Lively cannot pursue sexual harassment claims against Baldoni. The two co-starred in the movie It Ends With Us. The federal judge says Baldoni's behavior was not unreasonable for what might happen between two characters in a sexually charged movie like that. The judge did say...
Yeah, so what? So what? Even if he pushed her on a bed, he didn't push her on a bed. I don't believe that he did anything, but, it was a sexually charged set.
They can pursue claims of retaliation against Baldoni's public relations team over alleged harm to her reputation. Their trial is scheduled to start next month.
Okay, well, we'll cover it once we have a verdict. But otherwise, leaders at Hennepin County, the medical center, they're saying apparently that they are at risk of shutting down here soon. And everybody in Minnesota is going, so what? I'll go to Mayo Clinic. A bill, is expected to be introduced into the legislature next week that would raise Hennepin County sales tax by 1%. The money would be a lifeline for the Hennepin County Medical Center. This is from via KARE 11 News. Let's hear a little bit about it. If you're a Hennepin County resident, you have a beautiful area. I enjoyed being near it and around, and I enjoyed staying in Powderhorn Park, actually, around the same exact time that the Congress people were shot. It was a beautiful night. I door-dashed Raising Cane's. It was a beautiful time.
Leaders at Hennepin County Medical Center warned the hospital could start shutting down by June unless the state steps in. County Commissioner Jeffrey Lund says the board is actively working with lawmakers to secure some urgently needed funding to keep the hospital open.
We know that's part of the process. This is just get a bill on the table. We've kind of, I'd say, seeded the ground. We've talked to legislators. I don't care where they're from, red or blue, rural, urban, suburban, have said the same thing. It's a statewide asset. It has to be there, and it cannot close.
The Hennepin County Board is scheduled to meet later this afternoon, and at the center of the discussion is a proposal to repurpose the county's current sales tax, which is used for Twin Stadium bonds, into a 1% tax that could generate about $340 million annually for HCMC.
Twins Stadium bonds, ladies and gentlemen. Twins Stadium. When's the last time you went to a Twins game? Personally, for me, the 2010s. That was the last time that I, with my family, went to a Twins game. I got a commemorative bobblehead, and I loved it. He was very cute. I still have him around here somewhere. I'll find him one day, and maybe I'll post a picture of him. But otherwise, besides maybe like a once in a lifetime family trip, who's going to a baseball game? I like baseball more than any other sport, in all honesty. I love baseball. When it comes to, I just like the rules of it. I think the movies around it are better. I think that, listen, you can like The Blind Side. I'm not mad at you if you do, but I'm saying that I'd prefer The Sandlot, all of those baseball classics, more so than any football movie that you were to throw at me. So, if we're just comparing genre, like if we're just comparing tennis movies, football movies, or whatever, because I'm not actually playing these sports, baseball always will win my heart. So I'm even as a baseball person, when it comes to the world of sports, I'm saying who's going to a Twins game.
Commissioner Lund tells me the legislature asked the board to first approve a local resolution, which will pave the way for state action, and that step is expected at today's meeting. The move also sets up a bill slated for introduction sometime this week at the Capitol. It could be as soon as today. And financial pressure at HCMC has been mounting for quite some time now. About 100 jobs already cut, up to $50 million in projected losses this year alone, and more pressures from uninsured patients, Medicare changes, and the collapse of insurer UCare.
Insurer UCare, damn, that sucks. Well, hopefully it doesn't shut down. A lot of the commenters that I'm seeing are saying that they're just going to go to Mayo. Anyways, mom kills daughter to protect her from Elon Musk. Wisconsin mother knifes her 14-year-old daughter, laughter to death. Interesting. Laughter. Is that the daughter's name? It's just this news article is written very strangely. Claims that it was to protect her from Elon Musk. Let's hear a little bit about it actually from the news source itself. Go.
Has been charged with first-degree murder after stabbing her 14-year-old daughter to death, claiming she did it to protect the girl from Elon Musk. 41-year-old Thais Oninsky called police on March 20th and confessed to killing her daughter, Corinne Ryan, the night before. When the dispatcher asked if her daughter needed an ambulance, Oninsky coldly replied, "She's dead, honey. She needs a hearse." Corinne was found face down in a pool of blood with
Okay, at least she was funny about it.
Deep wounds to her neck. No defensive wounds were found, meaning she likely never saw it coming. Oninsky was found with self-inflicted cuts to her neck and wrists from a failed suicide attempt. At the hospital, she tested positive for amphetamines and THC. She then enthusiastically asked a deputy if her name was in the news yet, and was visibly disappointed when told it wasn't. Police say there is zero connection between the family and Elon Musk. Oninsky is being held on a $1 million bond and faces life in prison.
Life in prison, ladies and gentlemen. Are you nervous about that? I'm nervous for her. I'm not nervous for... Let's cover our last headline, and then we'll jump into our last story. Michael Jackson's biopic. It's going to be big, believe it or not. They're moving into phase 2 already, I think. They're going to release the second movie, I believe, next year. The next year after that? I don't know. It was going to be the one that is going to cover the allegations, the situations that he had. And they had an issue with one of his accusers' families suing the production. And then eventually they had to rework the finale. That will become the second movie. And this first movie is, they put out the final trailer for it. It's about a minute. We are going to review it ourselves. We're going to just, watch a little bit of it. I'm hopefully not going to, I don't know, they might copyright claim this. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to promo your shit. I'm trying to go get people to maybe go see this. Go. He's looking at a board. He's like a writer, apparently. Because apparently he wrote all his music. Just gotta get him out. I don't know that he wrote all his own music. Oh my god, they got him putting on the glove. Can't so beat it. Alright. Why is he got like 4 other guys with him? Is that his brothers? I mean, it looks kind of like him. I will say this. His eyes don't look right to me. He's got the chimp. He's got this nice blue outfit. Oh my god, his iconic jacket. I don't know that his mom was out there telling him, "I knew you were different from the moment you was born." Tickets are on sale now, apparently, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. I mean, the recreations, it's always interesting when they're able to get it to look almost exactly like the person. And it's very rare. Like, I will say Bohemian Rhapsody did it kind of, Rocket Man less so. They were able to get it to look like Elton John from a distance. They were able to kind of pose it at certain angles to where Timothée Chalamet did not look, he did not look very much like Bob Dylan to me whatsoever in that film. Not to say it was a bad performance, he just didn't visually look like him. This Michael Jackson actor looks visually similar to Michael Jackson. His eyes maybe are a little bit off, but that jaw, that kind of those cheekbones, all of the nose even. There's very subtle cues here that are just very, very on point. What I'm wondering here is just like everybody else, I'm nervous that they are not going to be brave enough to cast a whiter actor for the second movie. I think that they're going to go a route of like, oh, he never changed color, or maybe they're not going to put makeup on this kid, Jaafar Jackson. They're not going to put, because I want him to white face it. I'd be okay if they did a little bit of white face. I'd be fine if they did it, if it was for historical accuracy. If anybody else has an issue with that, they are not truly open to art. They don't understand anything about it. I don't want to hear their perspective about anything ever. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. We have one more story, and it's optional. I'm going to be honest with you. It's goy slop, but it's every consumer has their limit. Some consumers are drawing the line right now at $7 a bag on Doritos. Just in case you still eat Doritos, they're $7 a bag, and apparently it's costing the parent company, PepsiCo, billions. Many people are freaking out about it. Let's cover it for our final story before I release you into whatever the day has in store for you. Go. The snack aisle has become a battlefield for the PepsiCo company, a war over the $7 bag of Doritos. I'm just going to say it. I'm gonna say it right here, right now. I prefer Lay's potato chips. Listen, Lay's in the terms of like I like basic Lay's originals. I like sour cream and onion, or I love Pringles. Pringles are my shit. They always will be because they're like $2 per one of those, even one of those big ones. It has turned out to be a multi-billion-dollar miscalculation for this company after years of steadily hiking their prices to offset the rising cost of ingredients and transportation. The company has found that it has finally pushed its most loyal customers too goddamn far. What began as a strategy to protect profit margins has resulted in the most significant decline in sales volume marketing for the first time in over a decade for the Frito-Lay division, long considered the crown jewel of the company. It has faced a sustained revenue slump in recent days. The backlash was swift and damaging. Retail giants like Walmart, sensing that shoppers were tapped out, grew impatient with the price tags and began to cut the Frito-Lay's coveted shelf price, relocating those spots to cheaper private label brands like and competitors like Takis. Internal warnings from employees were reporting that it was reportedly, ignored for months. They were saying you're pushing these people too damn far. You're pushing their wallets too damn far. And of course, them being the company that they are, they ignored it. They attempted to mask the impact through this notorious practice. We're going to cover this term, shrinkflation. You get less product for the exact same price, reducing the amount of product in each bag, and which only further alienated and frustrated consumers. They felt that their intelligence was being insulted. They felt, we all know that the bags are getting filled with more air. Let's hear a little bit about this from the Bloomberg business aisle.
Doritos selling for $7 a bag ended up costing PepsiCo billions. That is the headline here. Yeah, according to Bloomberg News. Probably not big enough for Romaine, but right now PepsiCo, it's actually going to slash prices by up to 15% on some of their salty snacks after sales plunged and the company missed internal revenue targets.
They have to pull all of you back in. They have to say not enough people are buying the Frito nacho cheese dip. They need more people to come on back for that. You know, the can that you open, or even worse, the jar of the Frito-Lay nacho cheese dip. I'm just gonna say it. Their salsa isn't bad. It's still, I wouldn't touch it. I prefer the Tostitos even. I know that it's all goy slop. I know that it's all bullshit, but it's still good, and I like it. It's tasty. But I'm just going to be honest with you. No one's eating Frito-Lay. No one's eating Fritos anymore. Who's eating Fritos? Who has gotten a can of Frito, a nacho cheese dip, and a bag of Fritos as of the last maybe few years? I'm just going to say it, nobody.
So the idea they learned that if we charge people $7 for a bag of Doritos, they won't actually buy those Doritos. Is that
demand destruction?
It's exactly what it is.
Dorito demand destruction?
Yeah. Did they have to put this in the Claude to figure this out, or like a spreadsheet?
So there is the willingness to pay did not go to $7 for a bag.
Huh. Okay.
The willingness to pay, listen, the willingness to pay will always be there for Doritos consumers. They are the greediest among us. They're the greediest among us. Have you actually met a person who says their favorite chip is Doritos? The person whose favorite chip is Doritos is someone who you've never met one because they cannot leave their house without a crane. This is a person who will not be held back by the limits of nutrition. This is a person who will only be held back by the limits of their greed and their fingers.
A bag of Doritos used to be $3. Now it's closer to
back
$7.
in the good old
The company
days.
that makes them just lost $1 billion over it twice. Here's what's happening. According to Bloomberg, Frito-Lay got so addicted to rising prices that it couldn't stop, even as its own shelves started emptying out. Now they control nearly 60% of the U.S. healthy snack market, and for over a decade, the mandate was simple. Grow revenue 5% every year forever. Then the pandemic hit, and like everyone else, their parent company PepsiCo started raising prices. Consumers barely flinched, so they kept going. By 2022, prices were up 20% year over year, but they still kept going. So Walmart started cutting their shelf space. According to insider reports, nobody wanted to be the one who blinked. They tried shrinkflation, promotion, smaller multi-packs. Nothing worked. By the time a new division head finally declared prices had to come down, they'd missed internal revenue targets by over $1 billion for the second year in a row. Now this matters because this isn't just some chip story. It's what happens when a company mistakes pricing power for consumer loyalty. Surprisingly, most people are actually on the same page here. 42% of consumers were already buying fewer snacks because of the price. In response, PepsiCo and Frito-Lay started rolling back prices. So the central debate isn't whether these cuts were needed, it's whether this is enough, leading some shoppers to put it pretty bluntly online. A 50-cent rollback on a bag that jumped nearly 50% isn't a correction, it's a press release. PepsiCo's CEO says he'll know by summer if the rollbacks are working. So here...
They're not going to work. Everybody, I personally will not be buying. I haven't bought a bag of Doritos in years because I'm not, I'm above the age of 8. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an insult on Doritos eaters. This is not a slam. This is not slander. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more broadcast this week, Friday. I cannot wait for it. Who's to say what the news will be for us to report on tomorrow, but I will be there to sift through it and give you the best, most golden nugget pieces that I am able to devise and find out for you. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to today's broadcast. Thursday, we did it. It's in the books. We've done it once again. Look at us. April 9th, 2026. You did it. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to be here for Friday, because that is the final broadcast of the week, feel free to subscribe. We do Monday through Friday, so we're going to be back next week, so don't even worry. We'll have more news probably next week, depending on whether or not the world is still here. I think it will be. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening. I hope that you had a wonderful time listening. I had a wonderful time putting the episode together for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. This has been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening, and bye-bye.